Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have The Beckoning Path.
Way.
The Beckoning Path? Wait, what?
It's the Beckoning Pathway.
Are you? Wow. Okay, off to a great start.
Here's an eraser to redo all of your notes.
No, unfortunately, none of my notes have anything to do with that title because
Okay.
I guess I apparently just short formed it to The Beckoning Path, not The Beckoning Pathway. I mean, pathway. It's basically the fucking same thing.
Wow. Let's know the curse is real early.
Well, okay, yeah. Let's dive into this one. So, yeah, The Beckoning Pathway is by Shinigami.Eyes on creepypasta.wiki, so you can check it out there. And we'll just go into our initial recommendation stuff before we jump into the spoilery stuff. So I'm going to give this one a very low partial recommendation, bordering on not recommending it at all, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my recommendation initially. So Mikey, the E stands for evil.
I am not going to recommend this.
Okay. And gamer.
My initial recommendation is like a maybe, like right around the middle.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So do with that as you will. If you don't want to get spoiled by the story, you can check it out on creepypasta.wiki, like I just said. But we're gonna dive into the rundown and all our spoilerific stuff. So Nair, because we never get a name to this woman, finally decides
this time though.
We do get gender, yeah. About a paragraph, I think about 2 paragraphs in. Nair finally decides to check out this out-of-the-way trail in the forest she often hikes through, seemingly calling to her. After months of preparation and because it's a very long trek out into the woods to even get to that trail, and then that trail itself seems like it's going to be a bit of a slog to get through. So she had to physically make herself prepared for this. She ultimately regrets this decision to go down this pathway after she discovers these strange carvings in the trees, kind of showing the progress of human evolution, except not getting to the part of humans, just the step before humans. And the forest itself gets extremely dark as the canopy is just choking the light out of the daytime beneath it. So it's super dark. Fortunately, she has a flashlight, but she goes through and continues on, and she eventually finds a campfire up ahead. But as she goes to investigate, she discovers that there is a group of Sasquatch-like simian creatures around the campfire, or should I say cooking fire, as they appear to be cooking the corpse of a beheaded human over the fire. She rightly flees at that point, and one of the creatures gives chase. However, Nair manages to make it back to her car out of the woods after, I guess, a long period of running through some hard terrain and forest. We never really get details on that. It just happens. And the creature does break the tree line and seems to be challenging her, but then gets freaked out by the sounds of her car starting up and rushes back into the woods. And Nair drives home. She then recalls how this species, the Bigfoot, has been cited for years and has been thought to be peaceful. However, people do still go missing in the woods, so she's kind of correlating that maybe they aren't all so friendly as the stories kind of go. And there's others such thoughts that she's processing as she processes the whole encounter itself. Regardless, she'll never return to that pathway again. Finn. So, I suppose now it's time for... Everyone tolerates the Graham Inquisitions! At this point. So, I'm going to start with this one here. I beat down many of them, and some had gorgeous views, and others were nothing more than spots that some nature-loving couples used for obvious sexual activity, judging by the discarded condom wrappers and occasional lost piece of clothing. So not going to lie, one of the reasons I wanted to read that is because I just wanted to read that line.
Okay.
However, the actual grammar inquisition I had for this was I think it actually should be activities, not activity. Like used for obvious sexual activities.
Oh, that's your problem?
That was my problem. Yeah. What did you have? What do you got, Egon?
Hang on. Where is mine? Oh,
It's run on.
It is rather run on. Yes.
well, it's
There's
that. But I didn't even think of that part, so that's another aspect of it.
Mhm.
First word. Shouldn't it be I've been down many of them instead of I'd been down many of them?
Oh, you're right. I didn't even notice that.
Wow. Triple teaming this one. Hell yeah. 3-way high five.
Yeah.
Totally did that.
Mm-hmm. Just across the internet. All three of our
totally.
hands just went through our monitors and high-fived.
Yeah.
How? Yes.
Don't ask.
Roll sand. Okay, so, wow, yeah. Off to a great start on this one. Next thing here. I turned off my flashlight following the dim light. I decided to look into this further, walking as quietly as I could until the fire came into sight. So, the second part here, which is the start of a new paragraph, seemed a little bit redundant to me. Like, yeah, we get it. You're pressing forward. You can cut out the part of like focus. You can cut that part out and just focus on the stealth approach. Like, she turned off her flashlight to follow the dim light, and then she basically just repeated the same thing, where she decided to pursue this further, walking as quietly as she could to the fire that came in sight. Like,
But if you didn't say that, then she would turn off the flashlight and stand there and do nothing.
no. What I'm saying is like, get rid of the "I decided to look into this further" part, and just say like, I turned off my flashlight following the dim light, walking as quietly as I could until the fire came into sight. Blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah, and then have a little bit more extra at the end there. But like,
Yeah.
that
Also,
first
to
bit
be
just seems a
honest-
little redundant.
To be honest,
Sorry,
that
yep.
paragraph should start with I turned off my flashlight following the dim light.
Yeah, you're right. Like that should be the start of the paragraph.
Because that's part of like your stealth attack here, your stealth run,
Your stealth mission.
recon mission here. So yeah, keep all the recon mission together.
Yeah, exactly. And then another kind of example of that like redundancy thing. They seem to communicate in grunts and guttural vocalizations, but it wasn't so much their presence that frightened me. It was the meat they were preparing. A sharpened stick was driven through what had obviously once been 2 human legs, arms, and a torso. The head appeared to be missing. The grunts suggested they were communicating, but I found myself stumbling back in terror. So the
And-
redundancy I'm kind of seeing in this is like, so like she starts off with like, they seem to be communicating or seem to communicate with grunts and guttural vocalization. Then we get this horror of like what they're actually cooking on the fire and stuff. And then it goes back to the grunts suggest they were communicating.
Yeah, like what else would they be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Also, as soon as you said the grunts suggested they communicating, I imagined that Nair's like sneaking up on this, and then there's like 2 like purple halo grunts next to her being like, they're communicating.
God damn it. Okay, yeah. Ward here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, really, this is actually the Halo universe. Like, she's next to some grunts. She's like she's a marine, and she just stumbled upon some brutes.
Yeah. It's pretty accurate, actually.
Yeah, that, like 100%. That's actually really plausible.
Yeah, you could just put a skin over this, and bam, it's in the Halo universe.
Yeah, it turns out this is actually a Halo creepypasta.
Yeah.
See, that would make it better, like so much better.
Would it though?
I think it would.
Maybe, because like how many Halo creepypastas are out there, right?
We can
Check in next week.
Tune in next time, or in the near future when I decide to drag these people through a Halo creepypasta.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be a shitty video game creepypasta. Let's not lie. It's not gonna be like it's not gonna be a piece of like a masterpiece. I imagine.
Not many video game ones are.
Yeah, I've been hurt too many times.
It's fine.
But honestly, that's the end of my grammar inquisition. So Mikey, these stands for evil.
All right. Well, I have a conjunction junction.
Yes, of course. And next stop, conjunction junction. Doot, doot.
But this place had to be different. At least I hope so. It was a long hike to get there, and it took me long enough to build the stamina to travel so far. But enough about that. Let's get back to the path. It was time to explore. It seemed as though nature would overtake the bare dirt once again. Soon. It wasn't cold at all, though. It was at least 70 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So why did I feel so cold? But that chill returned as I forced a light-hearted chuckle. It seemed human, or at least simian. It passed behind a tree, and I saw no other sign of it. It appeared someone had made a fire nearby. It was a rather small fire, but what I saw frightened me. It was the meat they were preparing. It was in pursuit of me, but fortunately, I seemed to be a step ahead. It was a quiet drive back home. Then,
Wow, you somehow made this even more succinct.
Yeah, a little bit.
Then I think the story clocks in at like 2.5 pages. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 4, and you just wow, you just made that even more succinct. You made it down to like 1 page. Also, I did have to check because I forgot to check like what the Fahrenheit to Celsius was. So for our fellow Canadians, the Celsius for 70 degrees Fahrenheit is roughly 22 degrees Celsius.
Okay. Yeah, I figured it'd be around there.
yeah. I liked how they forced a light-hearted chuckle, and then it seemed human, or at least simian, like they're questioning.
How novel. 2 legs, 2 arms, a head. Well, on that one anyway.
And then there was meat being prepared on the fire, which suddenly pursued them.
Oh yeah,
God. The corpse, it's seeking revenge. I actually think there's a friggin' there's a D20 modern monster or something in the urban, maybe even in Urban Arcana, that is basically like a fire revenant. Like it's a person who's just like perpetually on fire. I think they're called the Charred Ones or something. So
and
I'm half tempted to pull out my. I'm half tempted to pull out my my D20 modern book from my shelf to check.
Okay.
Hang on, let's see if I can find that quickly. The creature I was thinking of was the Charred Ones from the D20 Modern Menace Manual, which I do not possess. All right, that was a good waste of time. Move on.
Cool. So yeah, those.
Yeah, let's continue.
Okay.
All right. So let's end my grammar inquisition.
Okay. Oh, and also the reason why Mikey does this is because there's always better words to put at the beginning of sentences, like rather than its, ands, or buts.
Yes.
So Sorry, not to take your thunder there, gamer.
It's fine. I honestly forgot.
So gamer, actually, you're up for your grammar inquisition.
The trees were gigantic. They seemed to be nearly ancient. I knew some had to be hundreds of years old. So to me,
Redundancy.
nearly ancient kind of seems weird, honestly, because
Yeah.
it's like I'm not looking for a specific date of the age of the tree. Like either they're huge and ancient trees or they're not. Like they're nearly ancient. Like, it's not using ancient in its literal definition, as in it's belonging to a very distant past and no longer is in existence, because they're there. Unless she's some aficionado with trees and knows that these aren't like a species that is around in the world right now. Like she's in some weird parallel dimension all of a sudden. Then okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be it. That could very well be it.
it could be, but it's probably not.
She,
I mean, in there are some Bigfoot legends that say that they are like they jaunt between our reality and another. Like, so
If that's
it
the
is
case-
very possible that
If that's the case, great. Then tell me. Tell
Yeah,
me
exactly.
that these are trees. Like you like plants and trees and all that, and you've never seen anything like this before. Like,
yeah,
the trees in this area, this does not make sense. Like, that's great.
she's also an avid hiker, so she would know. Like, oh man, these are definitely not the trees I'm looking for, or these are not the trees I'm used to.
If that's the case, say it, because it's not said. I'm assuming it's taking it in the informal sense, or it's using ancient as a description of them being old.
Yes.
Which is fine, but then they're just seem to be ancient, not nearly ancient.
Yeah.
They're not almost old. Anyways, moving on. It seemed as though nature would overtake the bare dirt once again, soon. So, I find that the comma there is in a weird place. Because, like, you have to stop the flow of the sentence just to say soon at the end.
Yeah.
Or, like, a rewrite of it would be, seemed as though nature would soon overtake the bare dirt once again. And there's no comma at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, I'm with you. Like, obviously, they're trying to use that soon, like that comma soon, as like for some kind of like emphasis, like nature would overtake the bare dirt once again soon, like that kind of emphasis. But like,
Why?
I'm on your side in this. Like, I understand what they're trying to do here, but I'm on your side for that. It's like it doesn't really need to be there.
If she's in some weird parallel dimension, which we've proved she is, and
Yes.
the vegetation is like growing way quicker than normal to the point that you can see it growing, then okay, put some emphasis on how soon it's going to cover everything, because you could watch it grow.
Yeah.
But realistically, I don't think that's what's actually
Well, no,
happening.
I actually don't think that's how she's trying to get at. Not like the dimensional stuff, but I mean like that it's like going really quickly. I think it's more like she's like I've had this thing where I've been walking down some trails that I know are eventually going, or like I've been like we have a road that was built years ago and then like abandoned and like nature overtook it. But I knew like I've commented a couple of times to myself and even like to some friends, like when we were walking down that abandoned road. It's like, yeah, somebody's eventually going to come here. She's using the soon to emphasize an inevitability. But yeah, like again, I'm agreeing with you guys, but I'm playing devil's advocate on this one, where it's just like the reason why she added that was because she's just commentating on how nature eventually takes over everything that's been left to sit.
But my correction says the same thing.
Oh, I know, and I'm with you. I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to, I guess, I'm not trying to actually fight you. I'm just trying to like get across what the author probably meant when they added that soon. But I will stop.
Okay, just personally, I feel like it would be ellipsed out if it was meant to be emphasis and not just like tacked on, you know?
Yeah, that would also be a better way to do it.
And regardless, I just don't like how it's just commaed and then one word at the end. Like, there needs to be more words after a comma, in my opinion.
Okay.
Alrighty then.
Mhm.
We'll move on from this. It wasn't cold at all, though. It was at least 70 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So why did I feel so cold? With this, I felt it would be better with it being arranged a little bit better, partially to clear the double it there, because it wasn't cold at all though. Period. It was at least 70 degrees, so partially to clear the its, and partially just because I didn't like the organization of it. So rewrite would be, with it being at least 70 degrees Fahrenheit outside, it wasn't cold at all. So why did I feel so cold?
Yeah.
And I ellipsed in between the all and so why.
Fancy.
Mhm.
And yeah, the main reason I flipped it around is because it starts by saying it wasn't cold, and then it says that basically organizing this way, in my opinion, by stating the temperature and then putting emphasis on the fact that it's not cold, but it is. It feels cold. It gives this whole sentence a better hit, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
Next one, the terrain began to grow a little more difficult to climb, but I had to know. Is climb the right word? Because there was no mention of Nair taking this path up a hill or not. It is a trail, so I'm sure there's some random hills and all that. But without saying that the trail was getting hilly or anything, it just kind of feels out of place.
Yeah, like for me, I just implanted that, okay, she's going up a hill because she's using the descriptor climb. Because that's sometimes when you're hiking and stuff like that, yeah, it's like, okay, we gotta get up this next climb, like basically going up even like a slight, or not a slight incline, but even going up an incline. That's not like where you actually have to use your hands and feet to like climb up something. Like I would consider hiking up a hill a climb because you're ascending.
I agree. But
yeah,
there's no mention of any. The trail isn't really described very well, considering this entire story is about her fascination with the trail.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, if it's meant to be hilly, say it's hilly. Otherwise, change it to navigate. A little more difficult to navigate.
That would also work. I think honestly, you're hammering home what I also like feel in the story is like we need more description of the terrain, of the setting. Like, yeah, you can't like. I feel like when a lot of people when they do stuff in like a forest, like, oh, it's a forest. Just have the reader imagine a forest, like their own forest. Like, no, you should still like lay down like a sense of geography, other than I'm walking down a trail in a dense forest. Like, there needs to be more details.
There was a bit because it described the like overhang of all the trees and not much light was getting through, and the further that she went in, the less light was getting through.
Yeah, but that's lighting. We still need to know what the terrain is like. Like we get very scant details on what like how the terrain is, aside from like she has to climb, like make a climb up a hill, or doesn't even say up a hill, just make a climb down. Yeah, through the trail. So yeah, like that's what my point is. Like we get this description of the lighting and atmosphere on like from above, but we have no context to what's below.
Yeah. But I shall move on.
Okay.
One thing began to confuse me, though. Another source of light was nearby. There was a dull, yellow glow to it. It appeared someone had made a fire nearby. So, for me, I feel like you should combine like-minded sentences, specifically the description of the light source and the color of it and how dull it is. So it would be, one thing began to confuse me, though. Another source of light was nearby, one with a dull, yellow glow to it. Period. It appeared someone had made a fire nearby. So instead of just making a whole bunch of tiny sentences or... Yeah, how much did I change there? But yeah, I removed there was a glow. There was a dull yellow glow and changed that to one with a dull glow. Combined it to the previous, another source of light was nearby.
Yeah. Because that could be another light source that she's suddenly seeing.
Yeah. And my last one, my flight reflex was taking over. I could fight my instincts as much as I wanted to earlier. Oh wait, no, it's a comma. Earlier, but this time, I'd let them take control. The flow of the sentence kind of makes it sound like she could fight her instincts at first, right now, but then she doesn't. Meanwhile, it's meant to show that there's no chance she can fight this now. And
Yeah,
personally,
like yeah.
I feel like this can be fixed by moving a single word around and removing one extra comma, because there's a lot of commas in this. 3 in one sentence is a bit much.
Mhm.
So the quick fix is my flight reflex was taking over, period. Earlier, comma, I could fight my instincts as much as I wanted to, but this time I'd let them take control. So it's not
Yep.
saying like, because yeah, it says I could fight my instincts earlier. But if you say earlier I could do this, it puts the thought in the time frame it needs to be immediately. So there's no
Yeah.
confusion.
Mhm.
Not that I was confused when I finished reading it. It's just it reads better in my opinion.
Fair enough.
And that is the end of my grammar in yellow.
Okay. Honestly, I'm glad you brought those up, because like you were picking away at it way more than I was. Like I sort of like I read through the story and I was like I was like I had a grammar inquisition, but I was like a lot of mine were sort of like scant, and I was like I'm sure there's more of here, but I just did not care to go through it. As I was reading, like I was kind of getting annoyed through the story as I kept going. So I'm glad you guys picked up the pace on that. But moving on to actual thoughts. So start with this comment here, or this quote here. Though I was very tempted, I knew that I knew that if I explored it then, I would be too exhausted to walk back out and get into my car to drive home. That is, until now. I was ready this time. The beckoning path seemed to lead me into nothing but pure darkness, but I knew there had to be more than that. There were probably all kinds of beautiful things waiting in that thick foliage, just waiting to be discovered. My curiosity always got the best of me. It was time to explore. So, even though we get like that she like her curiosity often gets the best of her, and she was just imagining like what was beyond this foliage and stuff like that, and the pathway seemed to be beckoning to her and stuff. Why is this trail beckoning her to hike it? Like, it could just be like her simple curiosity and her love for nature that she like wanted to explore this untrodden path. But I kept coming to like having like come up with my own idea as to like why exactly she was so compelled to go down this path, and like why she spent months exercising and like getting fit like enough to like go down that path. So an idea that came to mind was that perhaps the big feet or the simian creatures deeper down that trail psychically lure victims down that trail as a means of like getting food. Like, and the reason why it took Nair forever, like months, to eventually like go down that trail, or didn't heed the initial call, or heed the initial lure, was because she just happens to be much more stronger willed at such attacks to her mind than say that poor guy that poor person that was on the cooking fire.
Yeah. Or she had too much fat ratio, so she had to lean up a bit.
So the big feet are even like, are basically like, so it wasn't even that she was like stronger willed. No, she's been manipulated for months to basically, so like they were prepping her their food psychically.
Mhm.
That is way more sinister.
A little bit.
And conniving. I love it.
Or
because I was also going to
just the mundane of just you walk the same path like every day or whatever, exploring the trails, and there's always one you never go down because it looks shitty. You're always going to think what it is, like what's there. Like hell, when I go for a walk, there's this huge ass hill up the hill from you, actually, cultist, where every time we walk past it, my dad's like, I want to climb that hill one day. But he says it every time. Like he just wants to walk up that hill and see it.
I'd say just do it, guys. Like, just do it. Make your dreams come true. Do it. Yeah, obviously that is a valid reason, like just curiosity and stuff. But I just, because of the way the story was like the way she was like prepping for it, and like there's not a whole lot of details otherwise about like otherwise to it. It had my mind just kind of continuing to go, and so like building off of the end part with like the Bigfoot monsters. I just had like this idea, like, what if they're just psychic monsters and they're just luring prey in down this trail? Like, and then it even got me thinking, it's like, maybe it's not even a concerted effort on their part. It's just a passive ability they have, like sort of like a pitcher plant, where like they just have this like kind of instinctual like psychic field around them, or when they gather in small groups, like they were around that campfire, where it just creates like an area of effect that like pulls victims in, like a pitcher plant. Also, another avenue I kind of like, as I was reading the story, I was like, again, I continued to think, it's like, what other ways could like somebody like just happen to want to go down a trail like after weeks of prep and stuff like that. And it kind of got me thinking about some of the randonauting experiences I've heard online, and like the things that I've done for on randonauting. I brought it up before on the show. Randonaut is an app that generates a series of coordinates in your area that you can walk to or drive to find some sort of intent. Like, you're supposed to think on an intent or like a goal or something you want to find at the end of the coordinates, and then you hit the button to randomly generate the coordinates, and it's supposed to like subliminally or like psychically match up, and like a lot of people do end up finding what they were intending at the end of their coordinates. There's also a lot of yeah, it's obviously just coincidence and stuff like that. I'm not actually saying it's magic, but a lot of people end up finding like coincidentally like stuff that they intended to find. There's also a shit ton of stories out there in real life of people going randonauting and finding horrifying shit, or even just weird out of context shit. Like, there was one story where they some people were going through a forest, and they ended up finding an abandoned car in the middle of the woods, like, and it had been like decades old, like rusted and stuff like that. And as they got closer, they have footage of this on YouTube, and as they got closer, they started hearing a baby, like a baby doll, like sound effects or like crying or something like that from within the car. And that's when they promptly like noped out of there.
That's decades. Like, there's a baby living in there for decades.
No, not a baby, like a baby doll, like, you know, one of those like Cabbage Patch Kids that like have sound effects and stuff, or have like little like sound playing and stuff like that.
It has batteries that last 20 years.
Or somebody laid a trap for an unsuspecting hiker in this. Like, that's more or less like kind of what the going theory was for that one.
Yeah.
Or like one group, their intent was surprise. And they went down to a beach on the West Coast, like out near. This was set out near like somewhere in California, and they went down, like they followed the coordinates to like a pier near a beach, and they found a briefcase. Well, the briefcase had weird stains on it and smelled awful, and so they decided to call the cops. And what the cops found in the briefcase was human body parts.
Oh, well, that's a surprise.
And they were. And the briefcase was on the coordinates for the randonauting. So, and there's countless stories like that online, of people randonauting and finding weird shit, on top of all the stuff that they find that is like just interesting or like nice kind of things. So again, this story kind of had my mind wandering through a trail of just ideas while I was reading the story. So
this whole randonauting thing is making me think that the creator of randonauting is a murderer, and they always put their victims at the locations that they program into the app. Oh my God. To send people to find their kills. My working theory now that you've proposed that, is that it's actually a network of serial killers across America, or across the country, across the world, who put in their victim, like either their traps or their victim locations in coordinates, and then there's part of the bot that has that archive, and it just kind of mixes it in with randomly generated coordinates that people
that it finds for other people. So it's like you're never sure. It's sort of like a Russian roulette. You're never sure what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
That's like, and I could just like that's something definitely from the dark web. Like that's some kind of like weird like dark web ploy or plot. But yeah, that is definitely. I'm sure that is a creepypasta or a Reddit no sleep story about like rando nodding.
Honestly, we've read a story like that.
Yeah,
where it was a video game one actually where
Pale Luna.
Yeah,
where it's like a one of those old like go east, you go east, or go north, pick up rope, pick up shovel.
Yeah, text-based adventure game where at the end location was a real location and you went there and there was bad things.
Yeah, there's bad times at the end of that.
There's spoilers there.
Yeah,
just multiple rear wings of cars just left in the forest. It's horrible.
Yes. Yeah. Clearly. But sorry, I've been meandering too far down in the forest of ideas from the story. I will move on.
Mm-hmm.
I'll move back to the path way. So here's my next thing here. All right, here's my next quote. What struck me as odd was that much of the art I saw resembled the art of evolution. But one thing unnerved me greatly. The final stage, human beings, as we know them, was missing. Did this mean that we were just as mythological to Sasquatch as they were to us? I kind of like this idea. Like, it's something kind of like out of the Twilight Zone or the Outer Limits. And kind of also like plays into our grammar inquisition like theory that we kind of created, where it's like she stepped into another reality.
Yeah,
like she stepped into the alternate reality where big feet are the people and people are the big feet. Like, like we are the cryptids of the Bigfoot universe.
Well, didn't they do a movie called Littlefoot or something like that? That was exactly that.
I thought Littlefoot was no. I thought. Oh, they didn't. They would never. You know, I thought Littlefoot was. I think you mean like the
no, not Never-Ending Story. What's
The Land Before Time?
Before Time. There you go.
yeah. Littlefoot. Yeah, because Littlefoot was the main character name of the dinosaur there. No, there is actually a movie called Little Bigfoot, I think. And I thought it was actually that it was like the kid, his dad is Bigfoot. I thought that's. Oh no! Hang on. There's a 1997 film of Little Bigfoot, which has a Bigfoot, like a child Bigfoot, taken in by a family. I la Harry and the Hendersons.
I was going to say Harry and the Hendersons.
But it's hang on. Let me. I gotta look this up.
Super important.
Yeah. Smallfoot. That's what it was called.
You're close.
It's called Smallfoot. And yeah, I'm pretty sure the plot of it is that like. Hang on, I'm Googling it now. A village of Yetis lives in isolation at the top of the mountains in the Himalayas, above the clouds and hidden away from sight. Migo is a Yeti who abides by the laws of the ancient stones held by the stone keepers. The Yeti's elder, Migo's father, Dorgal. Okay, it has. All right. I don't. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Actually, you're right, Mikey. Smallfoot's plot is that the big feet find humans and think it's a monster. Like find a human out in the mountains of the Himalayas and think they are because the Yetis believe that humans are mythical because they call the human a Smallfoot.
I see.
God damn it.
That's pretty cool. That's nice.
Yeah. See, I thought I know there was a son of Bigfoot, which is just like a human child who's a hybrid between a human and a Bigfoot.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was the movie. But there were so many Bigfoot movies like coming out in like 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like at least 3 or 4 of them, all around the same time. So yeah, Smallfoot is the one where it's Bigfoot thinks we are the cryptid. So, but yeah, like honestly, that could be something in this one. There's just like a I just like that idea because it's sort of you see it sometimes in science fiction and horror where like and especially specifically in like things like the Twilight Zone and Outer Limits where like they reverse the roles, right? Like so I think one of the things I remember one of the things that came to mind was I Am Legend, where it's in like a post-apocalyptic future where the main character is the last human on Earth, as far as he can tell, and everybody else has been turned into vampires, or like this vampiric species or mutation, and he slays them or he kills them. And it's like it's all treated like scientifically and stuff, like in terms of how they explain all the different like traditions of and all the folklore of vampires. But by the end, spoilers for like a very old novel. He's captured by the Vampire Society, which has formed since the inception of the vampire species and the fall of humanity. And the main character, the reason why it's called I Am Legend is because the main character, the human, has become the legendary creature to the Vampire Society.
Yeah.
Like he is the fabled slayer, because he killed so many vampires in his time. So anyway, yeah, kind of again, I liked that like one idea, this one take that the story brought up, where it's like perhaps like we are just as mythological to the Sasquatch as they are to us.
Mhm.
Oh, and actually, regarding the Sasquatch, cooking a person over an open fire. So I do actually recall in my younger days as a cryptid enthusiast.
I'm glad you said enthusiast at the end.
I remember my younger days as a cryptid.
Yeah.
That like I remember reading like accounts and like and books on Bigfoot and stuff like that. And there are some legends supposedly linked to Bigfoot in the Northwest that has them as a cannibalistic species or even like an individual creature that hunts and eats people.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, my go-to for this story, as I was reading it, and as soon as we got to the point where like it's a group of Bigfoot around a campfire that is cooking a person, was either ghouls from Lovecraft, like just mythosing it up, or even the Martens kin from the story The Lurking Fear, which has a similarly cannibalistic or carnivorous simian creatures, or has similarly cannibalistic or carnivorous creatures of a simian origin lurking on Tempest Mountain in the Catskills, which is a mountain range in New York. Yeah, I definitely kind of want to use this idea, like use this thing, sort of the core of the story, which is like just a chance encounter going down a trail, maybe mixing it in with my psychic lure idea from earlier for a game scenario now. And I've got two more things here. So starting with the next one here, there was no way I could lose. There's no way I could lose it in the forest. But at least if I made it back to civilization, it would probably flee. After all, what's more dangerous to a beast than a group of intelligent prey? I could see the opening to the path I had entered from, and somehow it was still just barely light outside. So we kind of brought this up earlier, where like the story does not go into a lot of details for this supposed like hike through a forest. Even more so during the chase scene, where she starts running from the creatures, they give chase. She's not sure if she's gonna make it. Oop, she made it. Like literally, like it's like she's there's it's a line, like there's a line break between her wondering if she can make it to civilization because that'll be her chance of escaping, and then the next thing is I can see the opening to the path I had entered. Wasn't that like hours away?
Wonder if I'm ever gonna get out of here. I got out of here.
Oh, yeah, legitimately. Like, God, I hate. Like, I feel like near the end of the story, and actually now that I'm thinking about it, most of the story could use it. There needs to be more added, like for this specific example here, like after all, what's more dangerous to a beast than a group of intelligent prey? And then between that and I could see the opening to the path. We have, through a flurry of rushing trees and foliage, time went by. Just kind of give some more elaboration on like how time is going by as you're rushing through the woods. Like, give us some like pitfalls, some ups and downs on your escape from the creature. And then finally I saw the opening to the path.
Yeah.
Like, just to give us more of a sense of time passing as they flee the scene. And honestly, that goes for like a lot of the story, where like when she actually is like going through the woods and stuff like that, and like she describes the lighting mood very well, with the canopy choking the light through and stuff like that. That's good. But we need a little bit more on like the journey, and a little bit more description of the undergrowth, or the underbrush kind of terrain that she's dealing with. Like, not just the canopy.
Yep.
There's a whole world beneath the canopy that we're not seeing here, because apparently it's too goddamn dark.
Only she had a flashlight. Wait.
Yeah. If only I had a flashlight. But like, just scratching her head with the flashlight on.
Where did I leave
It's
that?
blaring into one of her eyes. I don't see it. And my final thing here. I don't know if I'm correct, but the human remains roasting over the fire suggest that I am. Is it possible that this strange race is jealous of humanity for its advanced technology? This supposition came out of Left Town for me. I was like, what? I guess like she came to this because it was freaked out by the car? Maybe like when she first escaped the woods? But it just seemed like a weird random speculation.
Yeah.
To go to. Like, honestly, the ending of the story was very kind of like because she just starts like speculating and like giving us random speculations now that she's in the safety of her home. And then she finishes off with, one thing's for sure though, I'm never going back to that pathway. Or I'll never go down that trail again. It's like, no shit. So
You say that, but some people are gluttons for punishment, and they'll go back and try to get
that's
more.
true, yeah. Or it would be even more interesting if I never want to go back to that trail again, but I can't find. But every so often, when I've gone into the woods, I found myself getting closer and closer to the trails that lead to that path. Like, it is some kind of a lure. Like, again, giving more credence to the whole psychic influence thing that's going on.
Yeah.
That we constructed in this discussion. But it would make more sense, I feel, anyway. Or give more credence to like a horror angle of like the inevitability of it. But yeah, the talk about like the species may be jealous of humanity for its advanced technology kind of came out of nowhere to me, and I just didn't really care for it. Seemed kind of weird.
Well, it's all theorizing after the fact. It's not like she's straight up saying that in the car.
Yeah, no, you're true. You're absolutely right. It's what she's just suddenly like, now that she's in the safety of her own home, her mind is now trying to and it could just be like that her mind is trying to process the weird fucked up thing that she just saw in the woods.
Yeah, like think about it. And even us doing this recording, we read this experience that happened, and then we sit down and theorize about what it could have been, like psychic draws or whatever it is. We're all coming up with these outlandish things that are even more outlandish than that.
Yeah. I think I just kind of wish that there was a little bit more like elaboration on, or clarification, that she's just like, at this point I'm just speculating. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to process what I just saw. One thing is for sure though, I'm never going down that trail again.
Yeah.
Like,
having a little bit more like character development by actually getting personality out there is always good.
Yeah. But ultimately that is my actual thoughts. So Mikey, the E stands for evil.
All right. So, let's see here. My first thought is about the creepiness that happens. Is that basically she goes into the woods. The canopy is enough to block a lot of light.
Yep.
So that
Which is
you
a
need
thing.
a flashlight. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she basically comes across cannibals.
Yep.
Um,
Which again, it's a cool creepy. It's a very common creepy thing and good. But
yeah. Well, the thing is that she comes across them and then nothing really happens. She just runs away as quickly as possible, which is the correct way to do things.
Yeah.
yeah, yes. Again, we could have saved this for November, I suppose. Because she just rightfully nopes out. Honestly, I was like thinking is like, would she have noped out when she saw the weird carvings in the trees? Like, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I would probably continue forward until something bad until I saw something more terrifying. So
Yeah. So yeah, and the thing is, for myself, I've become sort of desensitized to cannibals because I played a game that is aptly called The Forest.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I thought you were going to say, which was aptly called The Cannibals. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it is sort of also very well worn. I hate to call it a trope, but it is basically a horror trope at this point, like cannibals in the woods.
Well, they're not going to be living down the street. It's harder to do that.
Actually, you say that, but I mean, Ted Bundy did that for years.
I suppose.
Yeah, like there's several serial killers that basically did that in the burbs for years before they got caught. So
Yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the Sasquatch, cannibal, whatever the main creepiness is, it needs to be ramped up.
yeah,
Like, yes, we know that the creature chases after her, but is it just chasing after her because she's running?
yeah, like is that like sort of a more animalistic instinct to chase, or is she like, is it actually like trying to communicate with her? It's like we could have the scene where it's like she's hearing the horrible like guttural grunts and stuff like that, but it's actually trying to say, wait, come back, wait, it's not what it looks like. We were actually investigating an actual like a human cannibal site.
Yeah.
Like it's just a big old misunderstanding, or like it's maybe it could even be, again, going back to my psychic pool. It could be trying to like attack her like psychically, like to her mind, like to try and like stop her from running as it's giving chase. So we could have like a psychic battle in her mind.
Yeah.
I just got the visual of Sasquatch. Time police.
Time cops. Oh shit! Do we have to do time? Do we have to do time watching like game at some point where you're all Sasquatches? I kind of want to do it, guys. One day.
Time Squatch.
Oh, we got it. We got there. Time Squatch. God damn it. I mean, if you guys want to, I'll run that game.
That sounds nice and silly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm gonna make it horror, but yeah, you guys will be silly. Mm-hmm. It's part of the Supernatural Task Force.
Yeah.
It's one of their divisions. Time Squatch is one of their divisions. It's their time division.
Yeah.
The time, yeah. That's the true nature of Sasquatch. Like we actually like from like legends and stuff like that, like some of the legends where like they hop between realities and stuff. Yeah, no, they're time travelers.
Yeah, that's why you can never find them, because as soon as they see that they're about to be caught. They're like, oh shit, and they just jump back or forward through time and they're gone.
Yeah, and the reason why the photos and videos are always blurry when they're around is because the time radiation like displaces them and it can't be caught on camera properly.
Mm-hmm. Makes so much sense.
So wait, oh my god, I kind of like want to do like props now for this game that we've just like brought up of like ID cards for the different agents, but like all of their like all their photos, like their facial photos are just blurry.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that blue smudge there is definitely Todd,
Mm-hmm.
and that red blur there is, I mean, that's Steve.
Steve
The Sasquatch. And Todd. Wait, I like how you said Steve. Like when I said Todd earlier.
Todd is
like,
acceptable as a Sasquatch name.
Or a scat squatch. Yeah. Like skitty bop. Oh god! Oh my god! We need the. It's like scat squatch versus ska squatch.
Wow. Amazing.
Anyway, we're going. Sorry, Mikey. We have ran off into the woods, off the trail you were on. We'll come back.
Yeah. So as I was saying, it just needs something extra to make it more creepy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. And then my next actual thought is that a few years ago, I actually went down a trail that branched off another trail, and I found nothing.
I mean, yeah, same. Heck, I think you and I and Gamer have gone down trails like in our area that we've never gone down before, and I mean, there were some cool dark there's some cool dark atmosphere because the trees were really thick, but aside from some like stone walls that were like laid down like hundreds of years ago from like an old like farmstead, we found nothing out of the ordinary.
Hence why we wouldn't write a story about our experience, but someone who did find something weird would.
That is true.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is true. We didn't go when the Sasquatch were investigating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dead body.
Clearly. Yeah, when they were checking out a dead body.
Yeah, when they were investigating what's that random node thing?
Rando nodding. Yeah. Oh my god. So the time squatch go after like they investigate the really, really bad and real like creepy rando nodding instances. Like that's their division. They go back and forward through time to basically investigate rando nodding sites.
Makes sense to me.
Wow. Yeah, wow. I'm floored by the implications.
All right. And that's cinematic thought.
Cool. Not cool that you're done. I mean, cool as in like the stuff you've come up with is really cool. Because time squad. All right, Gamer.
Okay. So to start out, I'm going to start here by listing the things that Nair should/could have brought with her if she was truly prepared to take a long trip in the uncharted woods that she's never been in. And trying my best
aside from just working out.
Trying my best to keep hindsight out of this, and just like realistically, if you're going to go for a long hike, this is probably what you would do. So, in regards to this quote, the path itself seemed old, and it carried an air of mystery that seemed to lure me in. I remember each time I would walk and catch sight of it, it always seemed to call to me. So, if this path and this location is so alluring to her, like she really has to go, and she's gonna like get fit even to go do it and just walk for ages, why wouldn't you bring a camera, take pictures of the place? Because like if you find something beautiful over there, you're going to want to take pictures of it so you can see it again.
Yep.
And in bringing a camera, when you stumble across things like weird carvings in the wood or, Sasquatches like out in front of an open fire, you could snap a quick picture. And then add it to the
in fact,
creepypasta entry.
Yeah. Actually, you do actually kind of brought up the point of like there is actually a photo to this story that we all ignored
Yeah.
so far.
Well, let's talk about it now. It's a picture of the woods.
Okay. Yeah, it's literally a picture of the woods with a little like bottom description is like you can barely see it, but it leads somewhere. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Of course, it leads somewhere.
I mean, it could lead nowhere, but yeah. Basically. That's good.
Well, you can sort of see
Sorry, go ahead.
you can sort of see a trail at the bottom left-ish.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, like you can see like the dirt trail. Otherwise, I would have thought that it was maybe that like that kind of brush, like that kind of. Like, there is sort of like a clear-ish path, like in the trees anyway, like where the trees kind of like are on either side of this like, otherwise like kind of cleared area except for like a lot of underbrush. But then yeah, you look down in the corner, there is like sort of a dirt path that goes past that area. So.
Also,
and honestly, yeah, again, it does remind me of like, again, any forest with a path with that kind of path in like anywhere. So it is kind of relatable in that respect.
Also, in regards to like she sees this path when she goes for walks and wonders where it goes, so she gets like jacked so she can go check it out. What happens if she like walked into the path and like 2 minutes later it just goes to like a sheer cliff? Like, how did she know that it was going to go on for ages to the point that she had to go work out?
Yeah. Like, I feel like maybe we could have had a bit at the beginning where like she Google mapped the area, so she knows that she's not about to go over a cliff. Mm-hmm. Was that in your notes? I'm sorry if I took that.
No.
Okay. And it would also give credence as like, yeah, I couldn't see the path, but I knew exactly where it was in the wood. Like, or like I could see the canopy where it would be under. And it didn't lead to like a sheer cliff face, or it didn't lead to any weird like location. As far as I could tell, it just goes on for miles.
Yep. That would help.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next item. Just then, I saw a lumbering figure a few yards away, easily 9 feet tall, though I only caught a glimpse. So at that point, that could be any number of wild animals. So bringing like a gun or like bear mace or something to defend yourself would have been smart.
Yep.
Like walking for hours and hours in the woods, you know, shit can happen, especially if you're by yourself. That's another thing. You can bring another person with you.
Yeah.
Because if there's 2 people, it might dissuade some predator from attacking you if there's multiple people there.
Yeah.
Even if both of you are unarmed. And then the last one I have in regards to things to bring. Maybe I could ask them for help finding a way out. I was definitely lost by now, and it was probably dark even outside the woods at this hour. You know, like a compass, a phone maybe, or like a can of spray paint or something to mark the trail that you walked on to find your way back, like leaving breadcrumbs. That would help you not get lost. Or again, bring in a friend, because if there's a second person there, that's 2 people that have to forget which way they came from. So it'd be easier to keep your location straight, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for somebody who claims to hike a lot and like was prepping for this trip, like aside from just getting like ripped and jacked for this trip, they really were unprepared.
There's a flashlight. Definitely brought a flashlight.
Also, your listing just makes me want to watch Nature Walk again.
It is pretty neat.
It is pretty neat. That's pretty neat.
That's nature right there.
God, it's been so long since we brought that one up.
But yeah, if she did bring that stuff, she would have a compass bearing to get home. She would have pictures of at least the carvings, maybe even the campfire scene if she didn't freak out too much there.
Well, actually, even the camera flashlight or the camera could be the reason why she has to start running from the creatures, because like she thought she took the flash off, because I've had that happen a couple times when I'm out in the woods with the camera. Whereas like I had not meant to have the flash go up, but it's just like I accidentally had it still set to automatic. So it just immediately goes off because of it picks up its low light area. So, and also the click of the camera is pretty audible if you're trying to be quiet. So Like that could have basically like been like the kind of like I pulled up my camera to take a shot because there's no way I was going to leave here without some photo evidence of what I had just seen, and then click or flash, and suddenly I was running backward as the creatures came at me from being alerted to my presence.
Yep. And in regards to the gun, if she fired the gun at one of them, it may have actually alerted all of them to attack her and got her killed. But it also may have saved her because they ran away from the sound of her car turning on. So a gunshot would probably scare the shit out of them and they would bail. Probably.
Yep. Also, back to the camera for just a second. The flash on the camera could also have been used to elaborate the chase scene even more because it's a low light area and she's like running for her life from these creatures. She might have been quick-witted enough to like pull the camera behind her and just start flashing and like stunning them basically for a few seconds more.
Oh.
Like give us a bit of give us more, give us anything for that chase scene.
I don't know. That's too much like movie logic. It's not realistic that you would pull your camera out and start snapping pictures of the thing as you're running because you're running for your life.
I mean, fair, but at the same time, like it would be a bit of it's a sort of a was it a pull and like a push and pull sort of like a give or take sort of situation where it's like, do you want to have this chase scene be fun and exciting for the reader, or do you want to be realistic?
It can be realistic
sort of
and fun. Just
sure, and that you have to find that balance
instead of just I ran away.
Nothing at all. I ran away. I didn't know if I was going to make it. Oh, there's my car.
Well, seems I made it.
Hours later, there's my car. I found it. It's what? Oh my god! You know what this is? This is like Lord of the Rings, or this is like the Tolkien writing, where it's just like, and then the Fellowship was attacked by a horde of 300 orcs. After they defeated the orcs,
really?
That's it. Aragorn saw a blade of grass, which reminded him of a song, and then you have 10 pages of a song about.
Is that really how the books are?
It's an over exaggeration, but yes, kind of.
Wow.
Like. Really there's some cases or like there's an entire five army battle that goes on at the end of The Hobbit that we don't see because Bilbo got knocked out at the beginning and then he comes to and the battle is over. So it's like that kind of like, I'm not going to describe what happened because reasons. For some reason Tolkien didn't want to lay out a massive fight.
Wasn't in the budget,
or maybe he might have also been suffering from PTSD from World War I, which was actually a big thing with him. He actually did. He wrote The Hobbit and I think Lord of the Rings, while dealing with like PTSD from the war.
Really?
So, yeah. Sorry, I digress.
Yes, so at some point, I don't have the quote of it directly. I quote it elsewhere. It doesn't matter. She says that like she feels really. Oh wait, it was in my grammar. Regardless, she says that she feels really cold, even though it's hot out. Why does she feel cold and all that? That didn't go anywhere, by the way.
No.
Like, what even was that?
I honestly thought that maybe she like was getting goosebumps because she felt like she was being watched, like that kind of thing. But the way she describes it, it's more sounding like she's
literally cold.
She's suddenly cold, but the world around her isn't cold. So why is she cold? But then that goes nowhere, like you said.
So I kind of wish that went somewhere or wasn't described at all. Just described as, I feel like something's watching me or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then in regards to the chase, we kind of talked about it a little bit. I feel she got out of there way too easy. Because like when her fight or flight kicked in, first off, I don't know how sneaky she would be at that moment where she's like backing away from the campfire. Like if they would have heard her and then they all would have chased or something.
She might have she might have had enough control to back up quietly, and then just it's sort of like that scene that you see in movies, and where like somebody like backs up very stealthily for like a few feet and then just runs.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Because it seemed like the chase started when she got back to the carvings.
Yeah, because she stopped at the carvings to catch her breath, and then while she was stopped, she heard footsteps behind, like running footsteps behind her, as if, and they weren't hers. So that's when she started running again.
Yep. Also, at this point, like when she went to investigate the fire, she was looking for a way out because she said, "Oh, maybe there's people there that can help me find my way out because I'm lost." Why didn't she just follow the path back if she was lost and wanting to get out? Why continue getting yourself
Right?
more lost? Because the quote was, "She was definitely lost by now," is the quote. So if there's such a slim chance that there is such a slim chance that she just happened to find the path back without a problem while freaking out. But she did it. She just ran and then immediately, she snuck back and found it and then heard footsteps while she was back on the path and sprinted away.
Yeah. I also feel like we should have had something added where, or like there should have been something added in the story where like it describes her, like the trail, like basically like her losing the trail in the first place, because like it's not too hard to get, like it's not too easy to get lost when you have a dirt trail behind you and in front of you.
It's a crappy trail, though.
It is a crappy trail. Well, then describe that more. Make that even more like elusive. Like make it even more of an elusive trail to follow.
Yeah.
So that it explains why she's getting lost so easily.
It does say it's a dirt trail, but it's like almost overgrown, so it's like a very light trail.
Yeah.
But again, she found it super easy, so who knows?
Yeah. It was barely an inconvenience.
Yeah, pretty much. And like, speaking of how crappy the trail is, when she was running away, she parkoured the shit out of that path. If it's as shitty as she says it is, like hopping over logs and running up hills and peeking out of the way of branches.
Where was that in the writing?
It said, "Climb, sir."
I want that more in writing.
Uh,
Like legitimately, I want to read that. Like that sounds fun. Like that sounds like a fun read.
it is,
Like,
and that's how I'm saying, like, you can make it realistic and fun by describing what's going on in the chase instead of just "I ran away."
Yeah.
That being said, like, she ran all that without even stumbling because it wasn't even described. Like, adrenaline, I get it. It's a hell of a drug. That might be why.
But especially since the story is being written post the like she escaped and to tell the tale and to write the story, so she's had some time to like settle in. She's like, maybe she could recall a little bit more about her chase a little bit. Other than it's all I'd even be fine with like it was just a blur of trees and foliage as I ran like for hours.
I was about to say that. Yep, I agree. Although, like, in regards to her running around and all that, I do like that her being in good shape was used not just for the fact that she could make the walk, but also for the escape.
Yeah.
As like a dual purpose kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then my last note, it's in regards to Bigfoot. Yes, there are many reported sightings of such things, but did you ever think that they haven't been collected by scientists and researched because so few have lived to tell about them? That's what it says, like, near the end, right?
Yeah.
And to that, I'm like, I'm sure in this case, they kill a lot of random people, sure. But if the government wanted them for research, they'd just send in a bunch of dudes with guns and tranks to capture or kill them for study. They would just do it. Like, between tranks, tasers, and bullets, these scientists would get their data. Whether or not the government would release that data to the public, that's hard to say. But for all we know, in this world of the story, they've already got their data on them, and they're just leaving them alone. And she's just stumbling into them.
Yeah, or they're like, because I mean, the government's not omniscient, but like it would be possible. Like, yeah, the government's maybe aware of them and has some of their own data for it and stuff that they're just not going to share, obviously, like you're saying. But also, like, this could just be a group of them that the government hasn't found yet, like just hidden away in the woods, right?
Yeah.
Because like
the ones that they do find, they kill or capture. But this group they haven't yet, yeah.
Because again, like, North America is a big place, and our again, you think about I think of like the missing 411 cases, like just people in general go missing into the woods for all kinds of reasons and are never found again.
Yep.
Or are found in very strange circumstances that we can't explain. And like those cases have like massive search parties that look for them for miles and miles and cannot find them
Mm-hmm.
after they go missing after like 6 minutes
Yeah.
from their initial party, or like within the first like 24 hours they search the entire area that a person could humanly travel around and find nothing. And then they find them like weeks later, like the body somewhere it should never have been. So it's like, yeah, I'm partially with you on like, oh yeah, the government, if they wanted them, they could find them. At the same time, though, like the government's not omniscient, and they're not looking for like they're not maybe specifically looking, or they don't have the budget to look into all this. But yeah,
That's fair. That is the end of my notes, though.
okay. Then on to the final thoughts. So, honestly, my recommendation hasn't really changed. I still, I got it got some neat little bits in there here and there, and the basic plot I would definitely utilize for a game scenario, combined with some of the stuff we've talked about in this episode. Like time squatch is definitely going to happen. But the story felt a bit lacking for most of it for me. Like I feel there was so much more that could have been added or elaborated on to make this a much fuller experience than just this. Nair wanted to go into the wanted to go down this trail. She had spent months training to go down to. She went down that trail, found some carvings, found a light, found Bigfoot eating people, ran from Bigfoot eating people, got to her car, escaped Bigfoot, got home.
The way that
Finn.
you say that sounds like his last name is Eating People. His name is Bigfoot Eating People. Like, that's his last name.
It was a one-eyed. it was a 2 foot. I was trying to do the people eater thing because it's like. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, no, you're right. It does sound like a surname.
I'm sure it's hilarious.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a surname.
Yes.
Bigfoot people. His name is Mr. People Eater,
Mm-hmm.
or Mr. Eating People.
Yep.
But yeah, I just felt like there needed to be more to the story than was provided. So I'm actually like good. Like, yeah, very low partial recommendation for like just the core idea of the story is solid. But I'm not recommending this story otherwise because there's just not enough here for me. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Mikey, the E stands for evil. What say you?
Well, with Time Squatch being part of the Supernatural Task Force, this is 100% recommendation.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, as we've pointed out, there needs to be more detail. And in my opinion, the creepy Sasquatch needs to be doing something more creepy than just being there.
Eating people isn't creepy enough to you?
Well, we don't actually see them eating on camera.
Yeah, we need detail. We need some graphic details. Like I want some visceral horror here, where like their muzzles are just coated in blood and viscera, and like they're like gibbering to each other and spitting out marrow and bone chips as they talk to each other. Like I want some gruesome details if this is gonna be a goddamn cannibal horror story.
Yeah, something to elevate the creepiness is what it needs.
Yeah, you can't just say. Yeah, I mean, again, sometimes insinuating a horror thing is good, but I think honestly, from this point of view, from this point with us, we've read a bunch of cannibal stories, so
it's like
you gotta
kind of at this point.
Kinda. I don't know what that says about us, but
means we're desensitized.
like Mikey was saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, I can't recommend that. Still.
Fair enough.
Okay. For me, I mean, like, after talking about all this, like, yeah, there are a lot of problems, and the problems are bugging me more than I'm talking about them. But the story, when I read it read pretty well, honestly. Like, when I first went through it, just as Nair didn't stumble one bit escaping the Sasquatch, I didn't really stumble through the read either. It went pretty clean.
Yeah.
Problems being, I did find that she got out of the bad situation way too easy. She could have been more prepared for it, for sure. Preparation makes sense because of how much she's been wanting to check this place out, how much she's already a hiking enthusiast, and like the struggle to get out of there makes sense because she's lost and all that. And if she had all the gear, she wouldn't be as lost. But that should be described, how much harder it is because she didn't know where she was and all that. So there is a lot of problems with her being underprepared for this. And like her noping out, that's great. That's what you should do. Whether or not she should have noped out earlier, probably. She even says in the story, I probably should have left earlier. This was dumb, but I continued, which I kind of liked. But through what we've said, there's a lot of problems with this. And overall, I'll give it like a low partial. I still liked the read. That's the thing. The read didn't piss me off. I wish it was described more. Specifically, like as Cultus said, the trail itself needs to be described more. It is the main reason that you're out there. Nair isn't out there to find Sasquatch. So why is only Sasquatch described, basically? Like, as dull as it would be, the whole trail walking between the start of the new trail and to the carvings, a lot of that should be described. Like, even stupid little things like there's a bird nest up there, there's a tree down here, and there's an
I'm going over some rocks.
Yeah, over there I can see a little bit of a lake, and there's beavers putting a dam together. Like, as dull as that stuff is, it's world building, and it gives you a visualization of this trail, which is the reason she's doing all this.
Yeah, like this is the sort of example of like, it's not always about the destination; it's about the journey as well.
For sure. Yeah.
So yeah.
So describe it all. Bring a camera, and not make it so you don't get out of the situation way too easy, because that's less fun.
Like, set up the obstacles like ahead of time and make them like kind of banal at first, but then when she's having to run past them again, suddenly they become like, they're not just like annoying things that she has to like get across like on her normal hike. Now she has to actually like rush over them, or she has to like leap over or get under them.
Yeah. So basically, all the, like, as you're saying, all these random things that are just nice become straight up hazards, and have half of them actually hinder her, and like she trips, and like, but the Sasquatch is right behind her, and it didn't trip, so it just flew past her. So then she has to like flank around him or something. There's a million ways you can do it. So the potential of this is really good. That's why I'm gonna actually leave it at a partial, because I like the potential of it. It's just, it needs a little bit of work, in my opinion. Fair enough. In our opinion, I guess, because everyone's kind of saying the same thing in a way.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, honestly, yeah, it sounds like partial recommendation at best for any of us.
Yeah.
And really just for like the core concept of the story, and like the execution though was pretty lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that'll do it for this week's episode. So if you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. We're all on Twitter. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without that W at the end, because his name is very long.
Yeah, it's got to be, though.
Yeah. And I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah! And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. Look up Al Dente Rigor Mortis and select the package tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, early access, extra content. To our patrons that are helping support the show, thank you guys immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because without your listenership, it would be like screaming into the void. And without your stories that you write and post online for the wider internet to see, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we'd have nothing to talk about. Like this story, I feel like we were pretty hard on, but at the same time, it's because we saw the potential in it, and there was some stuff here that we could take from. It's just it came up lacking in terms of some of its execution. So
yeah, and there's been stories in the past where we say that we like the premise of it and it just needs to be fleshed out.
For sure.
And again, that's the same with this, but even more so with this, because I really did enjoy the story. And like, because I was seeing it in, I don't know why I'm going back into final thoughts, but regardless, the way I saw it as a good, like mundane, I say mundane because it's a Sasquatch, but mundane horror story that could be very realistic and have good immersion in it. That's why I really dug the story and the way it went.
I get you. Like, to be fair, like this could have been on, like, if this wasn't on creepypasta.wiki, this could have been on like one of those Bigfoot encounter websites that we pulled from like last year when I grabbed that the Cowman story from.
Mm-hmm.
Like this could have easily been on one of those stories. Like it's not like we added in a lot of the supernatural stuff that we were like speculating and like theorizing while we were talking about this story. But the story itself that's presented is very mundane and very banal, aside from the fact that she trips onto a Bigfoot cult or like a Bigfoot cannibal feast or a Bigfoot feast. So a big feast. So yeah, like that's it honestly sounds like it could have been from someone like who happened upon this thing and escaped with their life and was able to tell the tale after. So but yeah, regardless of that, like, yeah, thank you for writing this and sharing it online, because we got a pretty decent discussion out of it. So you made us talk. Thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.